Hey, what's going on? Ryan here with Intersection Records, and today, with Monday with Miles Davis, we're talking about this legendary record. So this is Steamin with the Miles Davis Quintet, and this was recorded in 1956 in two separate sessions. This was not released until 1961. So Miles, by 1961, is really the biggest name in jazz. When this was recorded, he was coming off a rebound where in the summer of 1955, he had played at the Newport Jazz Festival, had a triumphant return following a stint with drug abuse and heroin in the early 50s and really all the way through to early 1954. He decides to sign with Columbia. And the deal with Columbia is they tell him, listen, you need to have a stable band that you can record with. So he puts together his quintet. Now, meanwhile, he's still signed to Prestige. And he makes a deal with Prestige, says, listen, let me sign with Columbia. I will give you all the records left on my contract. So on May 11th, 1956, and on October 26th, they record 4 albums. Cooking, Relaxing, Working, and this one, Steamin'. Originally, as we've talked about on this show, Miles wanted Sonny Rollins to be in the band. So when Columbia's president asked Miles to put together the band, he gets Philly Joe Jones on drums. He gets Paul Chambers on bass. He gets Red Garland on piano, and he wants Sonny Rollins, who he has been playing with. Well, Sonny Rollins accepts the job, and then in the early fall of 1955, he needs to get away from the scene because he needs to go get cleaned up from his heroin problems. At which point, Philly Joe Jones says, hey, how about you check out John Coltrane? You've worked with him in the past. He's really excelling. And ultimately, Coltrane joins in October of 56. They do a run of shows at the Cafe Bohemia. And by the time they hit the studio, most of this is recorded on May 11th in 56, all but one song. Here's the back of this. By the time they hit the studio in May of 56, they are on fire, and they're able to knock out 4 albums in 2 days. And it's all standards. It's all stuff that they had been performing. These are all one takes. Okay, we're going to go through this thing song by song. Again, this is not released until August of 61, so think Someday My Prince Will Come, that era. This is recorded at Rudy Van Gelder's Hackensack, New Jersey studio. Again, May 11th of 56, and one song from October 26th. And this will be the last of the Prestige releases. So they all dripped out later. All these were recorded in 56, but he staggered them out along during the time frame of his Columbia releases too. This thing opens up with Surrey, with the fringe on top. This is a Rodgers and Hammerstein song that was done for the 1947 musical Oklahoma. 1943 musical Oklahoma. This thing opens up with Miles has the mute in. Miles takes the first solo. He's got a confidence. He's got a swagger. Miles is at the top, or approaching his prime here with this band. This song was popularized in jazz by Ahmad Jamal, who in 1951 released it as a jazz track. And really, Ahmad Jamal's style is something that was very influential on Miles. He always notes the modal style of Ahmad Jamal as somebody that was a huge influence on his approach to jazz. And you're gonna see that all through his modal period of the 50s. Coltrane takes the second solo. Coltrane's entering his prime. Again, Miles is just now in late 55, giving Coltrane, who's had issues with drugs, his, second chance here. And he proves on this whole record and on all of these releases of those sessions that he is the man. The third solo is a delicate, dripping solo by Red Garland. Red Garland's he's on this whole record, but he's not real prevalent, but he plays really nicely in a delicate, dripping way. Just kind of the teardrop drips, For a boxer, he was able to be pretty delicate, Red Garland was. We then have the song Salt Peanuts, which is a Kenny Clarke and Dizzy Gillespie composition. I've never been fond of Salt Peanuts because I don't like the herky-jerky Salt Peanuts vocal on it. I don't like that at all. It just doesn't really comfort me when I hear Salt Peanuts, but the version of Salt Peanuts here is fantastic. It takes the swing and the compositional structure of Salt Peanuts, but loses the vocal and gets rid of some of the herky-jerkiness that I don't like about it. There's a great drum solo, and really the drum solo by Philly Joe Jones takes up most of the song. Miles plays. Coltrane plays a little bit. And then at the 2-minute and 47-second mark, there's a drum solo by Philly Joe all the way to the 6-minute mark. So 3 minutes and 15 seconds solo, and then there's 7 seconds left where Miles finishes it up and does the theme again, and that's over. It's a really, really cool version of Salt Peanuts. Of course, the famous Gillespie Clarke song. The next song and the last song on side 1 of this record is Something I Dreamed Last Night. Another standard. It's sultry. It's romantic. He's got the mute in. This mute style and this this hard bop era is defining what jazz would be. Jazz is defined like 4 different times in the 50s alone, from bebop to hard bop to modal jazz and cool jazz, and ultimately, getting into the post-bop era. And Miles is at the forefront of all of this. Again, Philly Joe is using brushes lightly. Red lays out on a lot of the record, but really is featured here with a nice solo at the 3:37 to 4:42 mark. A nice solo. And again, Miles is proving his skeptics wrong. They said that he was nothing more than a druggie and that he was not going to be able to rebound. Well, these records prove that not only can he rebound, but he is the pinnacle of jazz. And it's great that this doesn't come out till 61, because albums like Milestones, albums like Porgy and Bess, albums like Kinda Blue and Sketches of Spain put him on top. And then they sprinkle out these albums from the 1956 sessions in 59, in 60, in 61, as they trickle these out with Miles fulfilling his contract. Flip the album over and you have Diane. He just breezes in with his swinging quintet, excuse me. All in a day's work. These are all first takes. They book time at Rudy's and they just hammer through these songs. And to think that you're playing with such precision on a one take, I guess they know the songs that well. These are standards that they've been working on in their live setting, and standards. Coltrane had an incredible repertoire of standards himself. He knew this music. That's one of the reasons why Miles took him on. Even after he had some issues with Coltrane earlier in his career, he knew that Coltrane had a book of standards that he knew and that he could count on him to know that material. Again, Miles starts. Then at the 3-minute mark, Coltrane comes in, just honking away, which gives way to Garland. There's no rush here. It's all just smoothly transitioning. This is a relaxing album. This isn't as furious as the bebop records in the past. Again, playing more in a blues style. You can almost hear the martinis being sipped on and poured and shaken in the bar area on Diane. It's really lovely. Well, You Needn't is the next song. It's a Thelonious Monk composition. This is the only song on this record that was done in the October 26th session. So everything else was done May 11th of 56. This track, Well, You Needn't, was done on that October 26th. Upbeat, more hard bop here. Chambers is bouncing along to the ride cymbal of Philly Joe Jones. Philly Joe really has become a favorite drummer of mine. And obviously Miles is picking Philly Joe not because he's great. And it's really just shows on all these records. Ultimately, he's replaced by Jimmy Cobb, right? It sounds to me like the mute is out on this song. It's a highlight of this record for me. The highlight of this song is the fact that Paul Chambers, who's known for his walking bass lines and great walking style, pulls the bow out here and shows that he's not just a walking bass player. He can play with a bow as well. There's a long Paul Chambers solo on Well, You Needn't, and it really adds some depth and some variation on this record. The last song on this record is When I Fall in Love. Coltrane does not play on it, so it's just a quartet here with Miles, Chambers, Jones, and Garland. Miles demonstrates his utter control of the instrument, his lyricism, the way that he could tell a story. The mute is firmly in again on this song, and really, again, defining an era with tone. And it's a brilliant way to close out this masterpiece. This is one of my favorite Miles Davis albums. And really all of these prestige. And we'll get to all these in this year. By the way, subscribe to the channel. We're gonna get to every significant Miles Davis studio album and live album this year on Monday with Miles Davis. This is a great piece of work. We're gonna pick out next week's show and go into our trusty little bag here and see what we can find out. And we're going to visit On the Corner next week. The 1972, released in October of 72. This was recorded from June 1st to June 6th. On the Corner, some magic Miles Davis fusion that we're going to see next week on Monday with Miles Davis. Peace out. Catch you later. See ya.